Greetings and welcome to From the Basement. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to create projects in Articy Draft using the single user edition. Now this video is applicable both to the single user and the multi-user edition with one small caveat. In the multi-user edition, you need to specify how the project is going to hook into the back end. If there is a demand for this video, I will create it. However, generally speaking, you should be working with your IT department to ensure that things are being created in the proper way so that there's no problems further down the road. In the event that you are the IT department, you should really consult the Unity documents carefully to ensure things are set up correctly. With that said, let's take a look at the projects. Now, when you create a new project, one of your options is creating subfolders for your entities. You can either choose empty, game, movie, TV, or book. You can also choose to create folders for your assets, either none, per chapter, location, file type, content. I have created some projects already that will show off almost all of these options. First, let's take a look at a game demo project with assets sorted by content. In all of these examples, I created 3 chapters under flow and 3 locations for locations. If we look at the entities folder, we can see that we have categories that make reasonable sense for a game, digital or otherwise. We have items and pickups, major and minor NPCs, mobs, which if you're unfamiliar with the history behind that word, back in the text mud days, that would be the first generation MMOs for some of you, the code for the monsters was called mobile, and so everybody referred to them as mobs. Moving on, we have objects and playable characters. Looking down here at the assets, since I said to sort this by content, we have categories for characters, environments, items and objects, and miscellaneous. Notice that we also have, under our template design, basic character properties and extended character properties. This is something that is present in every project type, regardless of what options you take. All right, let's take a look at books next. For books, I had my assets sorted by chapter. So I have chapter 1, 2, 3 in my assets folder, and I have chapter 1, 2, 3 in my flows section. The entities, as you can see, now makes a little bit more sense for a book. We have creatures, main characters, minor characters, supporting characters, which makes a little bit more sense than the NPC and playable characters for a game. Finally, let's take a look at the movie block. Now on this one, I had it sorted by my assets, sorted by location. So I have locations 1 through 3, locations 1 through 3. For the entities, again, we have subfolders that make sense for a movie production. Bit parts, extras, main characters, props, supporting characters, things like that. There is one thing I would like to note about this auto asset folder creation before we move on. When you choose to sort by flow or chapter versus location, this is a one-time deal. This does not set up any automatic scripts to create additional subfolders for you. So if I go into locations and I create a new location and I call it location 04. Notice I don't automatically get an assets folder called location 04. You have to do that manually. These choices, you can think of them as a one-time fire script that only runs when the project is first created. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and create a new project. I will be using this same exact project for all of the video tutorials on Articy Draft. The intent here is to build a simple game world and then show off how I can use this to also create scenarios or games or adventures to take place within this world. So I'm going to create a new project and give it a name. I don't honestly know what this world should be called yet, so I'm just going to call it my demo world for the moment. I'm going to pass putting in detail information because I don't really have anything meaningful to put here yet. Project folder, of course, is required. And so I am going to put this in my Articy personal directory, and I'm going to call this my demo world. You can have spaces in the file name, by the way. This is just a personal preference from and a holdover from my DOS days where you really didn't want spaces in your directory names, but Articy can handle this just fine. Now for here, I'm not going to create any default chapters, entity folders, or locations. I don't want to have that kind of thing already in the project because I really want to exercise this for the tutorials and show creating everything from scratch. I am, however, going to allow it to sort my asset folder by file type. That I don't particularly want to create from scratch, so I'm going to allow that one to go as sort by file type. All of that information in place. Click on Finish, and now we have our project. Going in here, we can see I have nothing in Flow, nothing in Entities, nothing in Locations. If I expand out Template, Design, and Features, I do have our standard basic character properties and extended character properties. And if I expand out Assets, I have an audio, documents, images, miscellaneous, and videos. And that wraps up talking about project creation. On the next video, I'm going to go over basics of the user interface and how to manipulate the windows for Articy Draft. Until then.